All right, week 3 of the NFL. We're going to once again do a takeaway from every single game. And I'm going to try to make this one a little quicker. I don't want it to be 25 minutes long, so I'm going to be quicker with this one. Let's get right into it. All right, my biggest takeaway is that for the Browns, do not know if I don't think these either teams are going to make the playoffs, to be honest. The Browns, yes, they are a great rushing team, and Amari Cooper has had back-to-back games with 100 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, Nick Chubb right now is the best running back in the league. The Steelers are just not a good offense. They're not using their pieces right. Deontay Johnson was basically given out routes all day, and George Pickens was not used at all. I saw him open many times, and we saw there was a clip on Twitter of him getting very angry. This is just not, the Steelers' offense isn't great. You can see them not having a successful year. And the Browns, yes, they did win this game, but this is not a very impressive win. And you're very scared about that Myles Garrett car accident that he had. Yeah. I can't wait until the Steelers face the Ravens, though. That would be fun. This game was an interesting one because the Bills, yes, the Bills were badly. Like, they had over 10 guys, over 10 starters not playing, and they had some big injury issues coming into this game. The Dolphins, yes, they are 3-0. I don't think I'd put them into the top 3. They're a top 5, but they're probably 5 in my opinion. I still think the Bills are the best team fully healthy. Josh Allen had a casual 400 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he did not play. He had one of those Josh Allen games where sometimes, sometimes the poise gets a little out of control sometimes. But anyways, my main key from this game is that these are 2 extremely good teams. More importantly, these are 2 really good defenses. This could have been easily a shootout where it could have been 60, 70 total points, ended up being 21-19. I would like to see the Miami Dolphins special teams be a little less sloppy. The key of that was the butt punt, which ended up being a safety. But these 2 teams are basically making the playoffs. These are 2 powerhouse offenses. Man, I really do not like the Raiders. The Raiders have lost big-time games to start off the year. The AFC West, yes, the AFC West is looking like a weaker division than we all thought. The Raiders being 0-3 is horrible for their playoff chances. And they haven't even had an interdivisional game yet. They faced the Cardinals, and now they just faced the Titans. I mean, can you really say that the Raiders, are they even going to make it to being 500? They have some good pieces. Like, they have Devontae Adams. Derek Carr is an above-average quarterback. Maybe not this year. They have Nate Hobbs, who's really good. Max Crosby, Chandler Jones. But the key issues is that they really don't have great safeties. They really don't have an efficient offensive line that is going to, keep pressure away from Derek Carr. And, other than Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, those guys are getting the bunch of the targets, other than Max Hollins in this game, who had over 100 yards. The defense is looking shaky, especially in the second half of games. Do not like the Raiders' chances that much. And for the Titans are also still, we kind of learned the same thing from them. High volume rushing offense that can pass the ball a little bit, except Treylon Burks did not get as involved as a lot of people thought he would. I don't think these 2 teams are playoff teams. It was an even matchup because these are 2 teams on the same kind of level. The Jaguars look great. James Robinson's Achilles seems not to be hurting him, even though he was hurt in week. He was hurt late in the season last year. It was the game against the Jets where he ended up tearing his Achilles. But I mean, wow, he's looked very explosive and breaking some big runs. Trevor Lawrence has been playing with great poise. He's playing with good enough accuracy. He had 3 touchdowns on the day. The Jaguars looked very good in the red zone, and their defense has been way better than I thought they were. Yes, this Chargers offense is looking weaker as they didn't have Keenan Allen. Rashawn Slater was hurt mid-game, ended up tearing his bicep. Obviously, Justin Herbert has that rib injury. This was an easy Jaguars win, but it looked way easier than I thought it would be. I had a good feeling that the Jaguars were going to come out of this game with a win just due to those injury concerns. But it's hard not to see the Jaguars as the best team in the AFC South right now. They're better than the Titans. They just destroyed the Colts 24-0 last week. Now they beat a top 5 team, arguably. Yes, but it's hard not to see them still not having a losing record. I know that this is still an incredibly young team. Yes, they do have a lot of potential, and it looking like they have some good star potential with Trevor Lawrence and potentially Christian Kirk, who's playing at an elite level. Trayvon Walker is also playing at a very good level. The AFC South could be another one of those teams the AFC South could be one of those divisions where they have, an 8-9, a 7-10 team actually make the playoffs, because the Jaguars are looking like the best team there. The takeaway from this game is that these are just two juggernaut defenses. The offenses are both off to a slow start. Yes, Aaron Rodgers did have 2 touchdown passes. Brady had a touchdown pass as well. The offenses are just not there yet. These are 2 offenses last year where they were extremely high-powered, but, for the Buccaneers, they don't have Chris Godwin. For the Green Bay Packers, they lost Devonta Adams, and that's a huge loss for the offense. As you can see, it's not as downfield. It's more methodical, working through Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. But the defenses in this game, they really set the tone. And both of them played extremely well. Obviously, the Bucs defense had an interception, almost had 2 if there wasn't a flag on that one play. And then the Packers defense got an insane amount of pressure in this game. The biggest takeaway for me is that the Packers and the Bucs are still they're both easily still the best teams in the division. For the Packers, this win means a lot for them because they were not favorites in this game. For the Bucs, this isn't an overreaction loss, because who's really challenging you? Definitely not the Saints, definitely not the Panthers, definitely not the Falcons. So that's my takeaways for this game. All right, the Saints are just not as good as a team as people thought. I had them going, I think, 9-8 of the year, and that's looking like the most accurate possibility right now. Jameis Winston, I said what I say. He has a cap ceiling, cap ceiling, cap ceiling. Jameis Winston's only going to take you so far without throwing the just volume of interceptions that he does. Alvin Kamara is banged up right now. He's having some nagging injuries. The Panthers should not overreact to this win. The defense carried you to the win. Baker Mayfield's not that great. The rushing attack, or Christian McCaffrey, I don't think still is fully back to that Christian McCaffrey level of dominance. Panthers are still going to be one of those bottom tier teams, but the biggest takeaway for this game is that the Saints are just very concerning for a lot of people, other than Chris Olave, who had his breakout game. All right, it's hard not to think that Lamar Jackson isn't the MVP right now. He has 10 touchdowns. He's leading the league in passer rating. He's leading his team in rushing yards. He's averaging like 10 yards a carry. He's carrying fantasy teams all around the world. Lamar Jackson's just insane. And for the rest of the team, their defense is looking all right. They played a bad offense, but I like the pressure they're getting. They're definitely getting a good amount of interior pressure, but secondary and the linebackers, it's all right. Their defense is all right at best. But as you see, Lamar Jackson just creates so much elusiveness. For the Patriots, it's hard not to be extremely scared about Mac Jones, his high ankle sprain injury going out late in the game. He also had 3 interceptions. It's hard not to be concerned about the Patriots. They're probably going to be a double-digit loss team. Just they look weak on defense. They look weak on offense. They're missing direction. All right. If you're the Chiefs, you have to come away with this win. I know that they did have a chance to win this game. I just saw Sky Moore muff that punt, and then he was not put in the rest of the game. Big win for the Colts, but a bigger win for their defense. The Colts offense still sucks. This is not a good offense. Matt Ryan is extremely old. Touchdown to Jelani Woods there. Not a great offense. Doesn't have a great future. I don't think the Colts have a great future outlook. I need to see what they do against the Jaguars. I need to see what they're going to do against the Titans. Jonathan Taylor, the offensive line doesn't look as gelled as they were last year, but these are great individual offensive linemen. They just need to put it together. And I think if they do that, Jonathan Taylor will go off again. Matt Ryan and the passing offense, it's just not a great passing offense. Michael Pittman is awesome. We're seeing them get Alec Pierce involved more, and Zach Pascal as well. Just like, it's a mid offense. And then for the Chiefs, you got to come away with this. This is a game that you need to win. And I know, for example, the Colts special teams was doing such a good job early on in this game, putting them in the one, putting them deep in the territory. But I think we're starting to see that Patrick Mahomes decline almost. Not in like a play sorts, but as like some games he'll play a little bit down to his competition, and the play calling will just not be there. Geno Smith has been playing consistently above what Geno Smith usually is. As a Jets fan, I can tell you that Geno Smith is not a very good quarterback, but he's been playing pretty decent on this weird Seahawks offense. Yes, the offensive line is horrendous, but he's got some pretty decent weapons with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, and anyways, the Falcons. Cordell Patterson kind of carried them in this game. Drake London is looking like a good wide receiver one. His route running has gotten a lot better from college, and he's separating a lot more efficiently than I thought he would. And Kyle Pitts finally got somewhat more involved. But Marcus Mariota kind of does hold this offense back a little bit. You know, he's not putting them too much in a deficit, unlike some other quarterbacks, obviously. But he's not helping this Falcons team become like a 6 or 7 win team. Obviously, quarterback is going to be a main focus for this. What I will say is that the coaching on both sides late in games was not very good. Especially for the Falcons, I question Arthur Smith's scheme quite a bit. It seems like in past couple of weeks, he knows how to use some players, but then he just completely does not know how to use others. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Kyle Pitts being blocked way too often. Cordell Patterson not being used more as a pass catcher, being used as a traditional running back more. These are both teams that'll likely be top 5 in their picks. It was actually a pretty decent game. I have a fear that the Lions are just going to be a choke job team. They had a double-digit lead, and they ended up choking it. As this offense gets better, I have a fear that they will choke games more often than they'll actually close it out, or they'll let the teams come back more often. Last year, their biggest issue was not closing, or was getting down too early, and then they had some sort of comeback, and then they were going to lead a last drive and ended up not finishing it. But this year, I have a fear that they're going to have a lot of choked leads. For the Vikings, classic Vikings game. It was a 4:00 game. Kirk Cousins can't play in prime time, but he'll lead you to a game-winning drive at 4:00 in the afternoon. Dalvin Cook went out with a big shoulder injury, though, which will maybe possibly sideline him for the rest of the year. Dalvin Cook is starting to become injury-prone. And special teams didn't look great in this game either. You see big missed kick. Also, the Lions missed a kick there. I love the Lions offense, and I really like not only the running back tandem and Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, but Amon-Ra St. Brown and DJ Chark. The offense and the offensive line, too. The offense is looking great for the Lions. It's just I really need them to close games out more. And for the Vikings, you can't get down to a 10-point lead to a team that you should compete with heavily. Yes, they scraped out a win, but yeah, you need to see a little bit more. Wow, what a boring game this was. These are just two boring teams. The Denver Broncos offense is extremely slow, trying to be methodical. I don't understand Nathaniel Hackett's direction. He's got so many good players and so many weapons. Russell Wilson looks a bit washed. I mean, he got heavily overpaid. You have Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Albert Okwuegbunam. You can do something with these players. It just seems like Cortland Sutton is the only one that's really consistent. And Russell Wilson's, it's his clear favorite target. But I don't really trust anybody other than him on that offense. Jerry Jeudy, even though should be an elite separator, he's got a drop issue. Javonte Williams should be getting the majority of the carries, but he and Melvin Gordon both have a fumble issue. The Denver Broncos defense has just been really saving them. This is the least impressive 2-1 team right now. For the San Francisco 49ers, did Jimmy G really help you? Yeah, I guess he helped you not throw up. I guess he helped the 49ers with stepping back into the end zone instead of throwing a pick six. That was the Brandon Ayuk touchdown. But they're not running the ball as efficiently as people expected them to do. Elijah Mitchell did get injured. But these are just two teams that I have major question marks going forward, especially with the Denver Broncos. I don't even see the Denver Broncos even making the playoffs. And for the 49ers, yeah, they're probably going to make the playoffs because Jimmy G has that experience. But maybe they're a one and done. It's hard not to really like the Eagles as playoff contenders this year. They look like the best team in the NFC East. Hell, they're looking like the best team in the NFC right now. Their defense had 9 sacks against the Commanders, and their offense put up an easy 24 points. Now, I'd like to see them face harder competition. They have faced the Lions, they faced the Commanders, they faced the Vikings. I'd like to see them face one of those really solid top 10 teams, possibly the Bucs or the Packers, and I want to see them compete and potentially win a game versus one of those. The defense is looking super solid. I love those offseason additions with Bradbury, with Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean. They have really good. They got a good defense. They got a good offense. This is a top 5 team easy. For the Commanders, yes, their passing offense is there, but they just couldn't get anything going. And yes, just because the Eagles have a good defense doesn't mean that you can't get guys open. But the biggest issue with them is that the pressure. The pressure got it in there like that. Carson Wentz couldn't really get anything going. And yeah. The Jets just really have probably one of the worst defenses in the league, despite having 2 cornerbacks playing at a Pro Bowl level. Sauce Gardner has allowed 7 catches for 92 yards. DJ Reed has a 16.0 passer rating allowed. Yet their safeties, Jordan Whitehead and LaMarcus Joyner, have had a 150 passer rating and then a perfect 158.3. The safeties and the defensive line absolutely kill this defense, leading to games like the Bengals where it was never close. And you hope that Zach Wilson brings a little life to this offense, because you can't have Joe Flacco throwing 50 times a game. You can run the ball a little bit. You have Breece Hall running for 5.3 yards per carry, and then Michael Carter is running for 4.6 yards per carry. And the offensive tackle position is screwed. George Fant is going to be out. I have some serious coaching and scheme questions about this defense. Robert Saleh is supposed to be a defensive mind, yet the Jets have the 32nd ranked defense. They had the worst defense last year, and they're probably going to have one of the worst defenses again this year, regardless of the additions. And for the Bengals, you face a like this. The Jets are not they're a bottom 5 team, yes, but you saw exactly what you wanted to. You saw the offense move. You saw Joe Burrow. Yes, Joe Burrow was taking a lot of hits this game. The offensive line still is a concern. He was getting hit pretty often. But you saw the defense play better. You saw the offense get rolling, especially downfield, with T. Higgins having multiple mosses. And Tyler Boyd had a 58-yard reception. The biggest concerns coming out of this game is that the Jets, that they're looking pretty bad. This game was to determine who was the worst team in the league, and it's looking like it's the Houston Texans. Davis Mills had 2 interceptions. What really carried the Bears is Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith had a crucial interception late in the game. Justin Fields has completed 23 passes for like 400 yards. The Bears' passing offense is horrendous. Darnell Mooney has had 4 catches for 27 yards on the year. What's saving the Bears is David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert had 2 touchdowns in this game. Justin Fields is looking like he's not a great NFL quarterback. He's awesome he's awesome on the ground. He's horrendous in the air. I mean, he's missing open receivers. He's not taking like risky passes, like tight window passes, just because he's not confident in his ability at all. And the offensive line doesn't help. But this isn't a good defensive line. And for a good example, he had a good amount of time in some of the pockets he had, and then just could not make the throw. So I wonder where the Bears actually go. Do they want to pick up another quarterback, or they have to keep on rolling with Justin Fields and just try to do as much as you can to get another receiver in the offseason? For the Texans, you're destined for a top 5 pick. Davis Mills. I'm on record saying that I do like Davis Mills, and I see him potentially as, a top 20, top 15 quarterback, league average. And I don't think they need to drastically address the position unless Davis Mills completely shits the bed and has a negative touchdown to interception ratio. But I think Davis Mills is fine. He's just had an unfortunate tipped pass intercepted. But Houston Texans probably, if they get the first overall pick, it's Will Anderson, and that's a very real possibility. Look, the Giants were not going to stay undefeated for too long. This Giants team is not very good. They've faced 2 bad teams that they won. For example, the Panthers game could have went either way, and the Titans game could also have gone either way. Saquon Barkley is definitively back. He broke off for a humongous run, but the passing defense for the Giants, aka their secondary, is just very weak. And Sterling Shepard also went out late in the game with an ACL injury because MetLife's turf sucks. Coming from a Jets fan, I've seen way too many ACL injuries at MetLife. Daniel Jones, is he your franchise quarterback going forward? That's a question you need to have over the offseason. But the depth on offense is completely ruined. Kenny Galladay is a professional bag stealer. He sucks. He had 3 drops in the game last night. The offensive line allowed 23 pressures. There were multiple holding calls that were not called on the Giants offense, which should have been. I have questions about Evan Neal. I know Evan Neal is a young tackle, and some tackles do need more time to develop. But he allowed a lot of pressure last night. And so did the Giants offensive line as a whole, as they were looking a lot better coming in from the 2 weeks, but they're looking like the normal Giants offensive line. Now, for the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb had a few key the Cowboys had too many drops. They had errors which could have been fixed, which would have made this game look a lot easier. Cooper Rush has done very good stepping in for Dak Prescott's spot. And my last takeaway is that they should be giving Tony Pollard just as many opportunities on the ground as Zeke. He broke off for a humongous, I think it was a 40-yard run, and then they just took him out. They need to give him those drive opportunities and stop cutting the momentum between both running backs. That was week 3. Let me know your thoughts and takeaways about about your team. Leave a like, make a comment, and subscribe.